Good morning and welcome to Lyceum here at Cassadaga. We're happy for you to join us. We're going to continue our conversation on physical phenomena. That's what we're talking about this month. Does everyone have a hand? Did you get a handout, sir? Did you get a handout? We'll get you a handout. So we're going to be talking about the handout and these pictures, the people on the handout today. Because I know some of this stuff, and those who are viewing online, I believe we have a handout that you could download and look at also. So look at all these interesting people doing interesting things. We don't always hear about people levitating too much anymore unless it's part of a magician or magic show or magic trick. We don't really hear too much about furniture moving and floating through the air. Morning, John. So I want to talk about this. Let's look at the bottom right corner first, the medium's cabinet. Has anyone ever seen one of these or heard of one of these? I know, Darlene, I know most people have been here. So the purpose of a medium's cabinet or spirit's cabinet is the individual, if you look, there's really not room for too much more than one person physically. The individual will sit in the cabinet, and typically you're enclosed on three sides, and then you have the drape or curtain in front of you as the fourth side. You're sitting in the cabinet doing what? You're meditating. You're allowing your energy to build. You're asking for spirit to come in and communicate and be with you. But we all have energy. We all put forth energy in everything we do. So just imagine you sitting in this medium's cabinet, building energy. What do you think's going to happen? Or what do you hope is going to happen? Anybody?
Spirit will come in.
Spirit will come in, absolutely. And do what? Scare the bejeebers out of you? What's that? Communicate. That's the whole purpose. Yes, Darlene.
And they can overlay, and it just goes from there. Once spirit comes in and communication begins, the energy just builds from there.
Right. So typically on the outside of the medium's cabinet, if I'm in the cabinet, there's typically an individual on the outside on my left and an individual on the outside on my right. Okay? They're making sure no one from the audience or whoever's participating rushes into the cabinet, takes photos, interrupts the medium, interrupts the process. Typically. Now, if you're with individuals that you know and you've been working with for a while, of course, you don't need those type of individuals guarding the entrance. But in the past, that's what they would have. So the medium would go into a trance. Have we been in trances before? What's it feel like? What's it feel like to be in a trance?
Is it like when you're meditating?
Absolutely, like a very deep meditation. Okay, very deep. Now, if you're not careful, sometimes, like me, I fall asleep because it's so relaxing. So you're in a deep trance state. Your energy's building in this cabinet. Hey, good morning. The goal is for your energy to build and for spirit to appear, which would be a manifestation, or to hear spirit talk. Now, for the trance medium sitting in the cabinet, of course, they don't get to enjoy anything because all the fun is happening outside the cabinet, outside from where they are, so to say. All the activities are outside the cabinet, usually. So, I've heard stories I personally, to this date, and with me, I'm transparent and honest, I've not seen a spirit manifestation during a seance. Doesn't mean anything. That just means I haven't seen it as a participant. But others have told me that during the trance meditation, the medium in trance, that they've seen spirit walk through the curtain and communicate with the individuals. Now, how exciting is that? Okay. Who would be scared? First time, absolutely. Even when you're in the cabinet and you're building your energy, you can do this alone. You don't necessarily have to have someone on the outside if you just want to practice. But it's a little unnerving when you start hearing the sounds. Energy's building. As you know, in the evening, usually your house settles. The sun's gone down, the house starts cooling off, and it creaks. Now you're in the spirit cabinet with the creaks happening around you. All right? Then you're wondering, okay, is that the house or is that spirit? Which one was it? You hear things rustling outside of the cabinet. All right, do I come out of my meditation and go see what that is, or do I just leave it alone? These are the things that typically will go through your mind. So you've got to clear all that away. Before you go and put yourself in a medium's cabinet, make sure the doors are locked so you're not wondering about that. Make sure your pets are somewhere so you're not wondering about them. You know, you've got to put your mind at ease so when you're meditating and you're going into these trance states, you feel relaxed and you feel comfortable doing it. Has anyone been, I don't know if I said this, asked, has anyone participated in a cabinet seance before? 2, 3. What was it like? What happened? Who appeared? Abraham Lincoln appeared, right?
Louis Armstrong.
Oh, we won't go there. We won't go there. Did you actually go to that one?
No.
Oh, that's the one I went to. What happened, Darlene?
The energy continues to build, and when the curtains are open, you will see spirit overlay, and the great changes in the energy.
Right. It's all about building energy. Building your energy, the energy of the individuals in the room with you, spirit energy, building energy. So when that energy is building, it's got to go someplace. So naturally, it's going to go out into the outside of the cabinet. And if you look at that picture, to the left of the cabinet is what? A trumpet, a spirit trumpet. That's what this is. This one I bought from Camp Chesterfield. So, we have our spirit trumpet. Who's never seen one of these before? Yay, everyone's seen one. Great. So the idea is, as me or whomever's in the cabinet going into trance, you're building the energy. The energy is going to be transferred to the trumpet. Then the trumpet is going to move around the room. Voices are going to come out of the larger side and communicate. That's the goal. That's the goal. Sometimes the energy builds up and objects come out of the trumpet. It's called an apport. An apport. Okay, has anyone ever seen an apport take place, Darlene?
Yes.
Same. What came through?
Old pair of earrings.
Okay.
Someone.
Something you recognized?
No.
Okay.
Nothing I recognize.
What came through?
$50.
Okay. Was it significant to you?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So the trumpet, here, you can pass it around. It's okay. Some people say, oh, touch my trumpet. It's all right, touch my trumpet. So it's in 3 pieces. if you're a beginner, you might want to start with the small piece at the end. Once you feel comfortable and you get some movement with that, then you add the second piece. Once you get better and at it, then you add the third piece. It has the band on it that glows in the dark because typically the seances are in the dark. Now, what's good and what's bad about doing the seances in the dark? That's a question. What's good? What's good about it? What's positive? Yes, Earl.
Helps you focus.
That's right. Helps you focus. Very good. What else? There's no wrong answer. Might be a wrong answer, but I don't think there is. All right?
Spirit might be more illuminated when they come. It might be easier to see energy.
Exactly.
During the dark.
Exactly. Once your eyes get focused into the dark, you can see things. You can see things happening. A lot of times during the seances, you can see little lights flickering like stars. Okay? You can hear movement in the room where individuals are just sitting still, hopefully. Okay? The bad, if there is a negative towards sitting in the dark, is it opens up for potential fraud. So some individuals will use red lights. Like with photography, the red light doesn't bother the photography process. So they'll put in small red lights so you can at least see a little bit what's going on in the room. Red lights. Then you'll have a better understanding of what you're seeing. Okay, historically there have been a lot of great trance work out there, and there has also been fraudulent trance work. I'm just being honest. Yes, John.
I always think, why is it always got the simulations and modifications? Well, why can't they just show up here and here in the illuminated place that we have right now? Why does it have dark or spooky or, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
If they're going to come, they're going to come. You know what I mean? They have the power to do that. Why don't they just do it?
John, I could not agree with you more. I agree with you 100%. If you want to come talk to me, why do we have to do it in the dark? Just come and talk to me. Exactly. I'm with you on that one.
Kitchen in the bathroom, I don't need a pool. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be in a dark place where it could be accepted as, like a hoax somewhere,
John, you are 100% correct, my friend. So, my theory is, this is my theory, you start in one place and build your energy in order for them to come visit you at any time. That's my thought. That's my thought. Of course, there are those who will say the white light severs the tie. Don't always agree with that, but that's just me. That's everything I'm saying is based on me, my belief, my thoughts.
I have a question.
Yes,
So
we love questions.
when the items come out of there, like the gentleman here said it was the 50-cent pieces and the earrings, do you keep them? Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, they don't like.
If there's money coming out, it's coming into my pocket.
So it's legit. It's tangible. It's something you can hold in your hand and take home. And
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. So the objects that do come out are tangible, touching them, put it in your pocket, take it home. It's yours. Yes, Earl.
It might also be the fact that they're operating under a different set of regulations than we are.
Right.
Like we work with gravity and other things. They, where they are, may not obviously work with gravity and other things. So we don't really understand everything that they're working through. So you just have to set up these conditions.
Correct. So we build our energy up, and they have to kind of lower their energy a little bit. We meet there in the middle. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say, if a pair of earrings came out and you didn't recognize them and they weren't connected to you, why would it come out?
Excellent question.
Why would something come out that has nothing to do with you?
I can't answer that. Other than it's quite interesting, something just appears.
Right.
But I would hope that whatever came out would be something that I know about and can associate with.
I was
Yes.
just gonna say, it could be a gift.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
maybe a relative, a great grandmother, or someone could be just giving you a gift.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to diminish at any point the significance of having something just appear. But yes, I would appreciate if I knew what it was about, who it was from. Yes, Darlene.
That same night there were other things that happened, and one of the things was very significant. I just didn't mention it was personal. But the earrings, because I didn't recognize them, it's still as a gift, or just because I don't recognize doesn't mean that they weren't. They were pretty beat up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes,
So I
ma'am.
have another question. How do you know who that item is meant for?
All right. So typically, as the trumpet's moving around the room, it's going to stop in front of you. And out it comes. Either in your lap, on the table in front of you, on the floor in front of you. So it will be in front of you and you will know it's for you. Yes, John.
I know before when I was speaking, I spoke from a skepticism type of a mode, but one time, about 5 years ago, I was in the same room, and in one of these chairs right in front of me, a lady said she went into trance, and she changed right in front of me and other people to 3 different entities. Spoke different, her face changed, she was overshadowed by spirit. It was incredible. It was so real, you know. And I wanted to get up and start doing this and make sure all the cameras and stuff, but I didn't do that.
Like a hologram or something.
You know, because it was so incredible, you know. It was like the best
Demonstration.
yeah, it was unbelievable. And so I was like, wow, this is so real, you know. And she spoke differently. She didn't speak in different languages. She spoke in English, but in 3 different voices. And
So-
it sounds like you need it, you know what I'm saying? She spoke in 3 different voices.
So she was actually talking, or was her mouth
She was
closed?
giving readings. That
Okay.
was incredible. And
Yeah.
she changed her face and everything changed right in front of us. You know? And,
Perfect.
I don't remember if her clothes changed. I don't think the garb she had on changed.
Was it dark or was the lights on or how was the setting?
It was like this.
Perfect.
She didn't go into no dark room or cloth or anything, nothing. No cabinet, nothing. Right there. That's why I like that one the best.
Right. Because there's nothing to hide. So if you look at the cabinet and the photo right above it, you can see what appears to be the trumpet pointing at the individual, and that white stuff is ectoplasm coming out. Manifestation happens also when the ectoplasm comes in. You're building that energy, ectoplasm appears, someone or something will manifest. That's ectoplasm. Not sure why I'm going in this order, but if you go right above that one, okay, that's Leslie Flint. If you get a chance to read his book, it's called Voices in the Dark. Great book. Interesting story from a very conservative county here in Florida. And I went online to try to find, now this is probably before we really had a lot of internet. I wanted the book Voices in the Dark by Leslie Flint to read because I was interested in direct voice. And I said, well, we've got a used bookstore downtown. Just for the fun of it, I'll go. What are the chances that someone donated a book that I needed? So I went, walking up and down the aisles, looking, and on one shelf, sitting all by itself, was that one book, Voices in the Dark by Leslie Flint. Okay? Did I psychically know it's there? Don't know. But it was there. Out of all places, it was there. I bought it. Still have it. It's a great book. He used to go into trance. He would go to circles, seance circles, and he would actually think he was falling asleep, but he was going into trance. And if you see on his left side, you see that white blob. Okay, that's ectoplasm. What was happening is that was creating what they call a voice box, and his guide, Mickey, would start talking from right here to people. Okay, direct voice. So he was very well known for that. He was born in the early 1900s, died 1990s, early 1990s. So he was from England, London, England. So a lot of his work was done over in the UK. But he would sit in trance, and his guide, Mickey, would come and start talking. Direct voice. Yes, ma'am.
Is ectoplasm, like sometimes you take a photograph and there's energy in it, is that the same thing?
Could be.
Could be.
I'd have to see the photo. Could be. All right, so the Bang sisters, the top left, two sisters from Chicago. Reverend Don Zangi mentioned them last week. The Bang sisters would do, if you look at the right, they would do portraits. You go to their seance, they would ask that you bring a picture of a loved one, put it in your pocket, don't take it out. Then during the seance, they would have the canvas, and I've seen them small to life size. I've seen both. Cover it with black drape, black whatever. Then during the seance, they would have paint in different colors around the table, and what would happen is the spirits would take the paint, move it up the canvas, and create the portraits. Originally, they said it would take many hours, but once they built that energy, that connection, it would start moving quicker. So if you look at the picture to the right of the lady on the couch, settee, wherever she is, that's probably a very large spirit portrait. And like Reverend Don Zangi said last week, they've examined, and it's not really paint. It's more like the stuff off butterfly wings. Lilydale, New York, Lilydale Assembly has portraits. I've seen them over when I went to a conference in California. San Francisco churches have them. Very beautiful to see, very amazing to look at. Spirit portraits. It's another physical phenomenon. Precipitation on silk, we mentioned last week also. I've been to those before, and if I can, a lot of my stuff's still packed. If I can find it, I'll bring it next couple of weeks and show you what one looks like. So the medium would cut out squares of silk or silk-like. They would have a stack of it next to a red light, again with colors, paints, markers, whatever, next to it. They would go through the seance. He would do messages. Then afterwards, they would pass out the silks to individuals, and on the silks would appear people's faces. Okay? So again, the individual built that. That was their gift. That was what they built between them and spirit, that energy. Any questions on that? Any of these? If you look in the middle, D.D. Hume, spelled H-O-M-E. He's from Scotland, so he was practicing in the UK also. He could levitate. The energy would build up, and he would levitate. I've always said one day when I'm doing a lecture, I'm just going to levitate. Scare the bejeebers out of everybody. I'm just going to levitate. Maybe it's going to happen today. We'll see. So look at that. I know these aren't of D.D. Hume. Those aren't real photos, but that's what would happen. tables would levitate. He would levitate. So those are amazing things. And he was in the mid to late 1800s. I believe he only lived 53 years. Didn't live long. Bang sisters did not live a long life either. And at the bottom is the table tipping, which you could see here at the camp, table tipping or other places. Okay, it's the building of energy. My energy, spirit energy, participants' energy, all building together, moving an object. So what do you think? Are we believers or are we doubters? Yes, Darlene.
Well, I'm a believer because I've seen it.
I hope so.
But even with the table tipping, or when we had the appointments coming through, there was a journalist from the newspaper that was there, and that woman was all over that room.
And what was?
She was all over that room just looking for how.
Exactly.
I was in the newspaper at that time. And walked out and said, all right.
There has been fraudulent. I'm not going to lie. There has been. I mean, if you're a medium and every day or very often you're having these seances and all the physical phenomenon's happening, what's it going to do to you? Does it take a toll on your health? Does it take a toll on you mentally? What? Darlene?
Physical phenomena does take a toll on the medium's health. It's draining.
I think it is draining. You have to be careful. If this is the line of work you want to get into, absolutely pursue it. But what I would ask is don't keep doing it that you're going to wear yourself out. Like a battery, you have to keep recharging yourself. You have to keep recharging yourself in order for it to continue to happen. There are individuals who started off as very good mediums, physical mediums. And then I believe as they got older, the energy just wasn't there as it used to be. So you're at a seance on this medium. I've been doing it for 50 years. I'm tired after 50 years. But I still have a room full of individuals who paid for the seance. So now you see the predicament I'm in. Do you see it? Potentially something might not happen. Not psychically, but I want to think my brain is saying, gosh, these individuals paid for a seance. They paid for physical phenomenon. I have to produce something. So they produced something. Sometimes that wasn't spirit related. Yes, ma'am.
I've been a medium for 25 years, and I've only had 3 times where nothing came.
Yes.
And I just told them, I said, nothing's come. And I gave them cards for other mediums. I said, I'm not going to take your money. Nothing's come. So I think that if I was in that position, I would move on to something else.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I could, personally, I would be out of integrity for me to take someone's money if I didn't feel the connections.
Right. And I'm the same way. I've given money back because there was no connection or asked them to see another medium. Absolutely. That's the right thing to do. Earl?
But some people do. You also have an ego problem.
We don't have egos here, Carl.
No.
Carl.
I was talking about people outside this room.
Oh, thank you.
Where once you have done something, you want to keep repeating it because, in a sense, it was your glory days.
Right.
And when you find you can't, you really don't want to let go of. And so that leads to failure.
Exactly. John, do you have a question?
I think spirit can, and I know this for sure, I think spirit can come through without setting up, getting it dark, getting it spooky looking, getting the energy up. And I think spirit can come through any time it wants. And the reason why I say that is because one time, my father had been dead for a year at this time, and I was about to do something, and I heard him go, "Don't do that," and I stopped,
Right.
and I looked, and I would have got mangled. My hand would have got mangled in this situation if I had gone ahead and reached in to grab where I was about to grab. And my father said, "Don't do that," and he like I said, he was dead for a year at the time. And I thanked him, and I seen what would happen, and my hand went to the hospital. And so you don't have to have a seance to have spirit come through.
You're absolutely right.
And I know that for sure.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So, table tipping is another form of building energy, like I've said. It's really got to the point where it was a parlor game. Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, became a parlor game. Come over and let's table tip, and then we'll have some tea and biscuits, tea and cookies. So it got away from being something phenomenal to being more of a routine. So we got away from it. Now we're seeing more of it coming back. But it is building energy. Everything's building energy. And during my experience with table tipping, I've mentioned before having independent voice. One time I was in Tampa working with my friend, and during our table tipping, out of nowhere I could hear music playing in the living room. And the music was playing When the Saints Go Marching In. And it actually sounded like an ice cream truck passing by. So I said to her, "Gosh, maybe we should stop and get ice cream." And she said, "Gregory, there is no ice cream truck in this neighborhood." It wasn't an ice cream truck. It was just direct voice, just music. The second time during a table tipping seance, I talked about individual came through talking on an old walkie-talkie, kind of like you would hear someone in an airplane, the old airplanes talking to someone on the ground. And sure enough, just in the middle of the room, you could hear the talking going on. And of course, I immediately went to the windows, went to the doors, thinking maybe someone from security was walking around with their walkie-talkie. Nobody was in the area. One of the participants said, "Well, that's my dad. He was in the Air Force. He flew bomber planes, and that was his voice coming over the radio." So it does happen. It does happen. Now that was not it was semi-dark, but not totally dark, like John was saying. So you're building the energy, and it's almost, I don't want to call it a portal, but it's almost like a portal where you're reaching out, touching into spirit's side, and giving them the energy to come back in. So it does happen. It does happen.
I have a question.
You go right ahead.
Say you're done,
Mm-hmm.
and to make sure they leave, is there something you need to do to make sure they leave and they don't stay?
You don't want them to stay all night?
No.
Okay. What do? Usually during my seances, whatever it is, at the beginning I open up the door between this world and the next world, spirit world, and at the end I close it down. Okay, now, does that guarantee 100% that they're not going to stay on this side? No. You can't guarantee it. But a lot of times it's to help the participants feel relaxed, that they're not going to have someone follow them home to the spirit side. But if the spirit needs to speak with someone in the house at a later date, they're going to come and go at any time anyway. Did that answer your question? So yes, you can shut it down, but you don't want to shut the door permanently that no one ever comes into communication. But you have to set perimeters, of course. All right? I only want those coming in for my higher good and higher learning. I don't want some thug off the street just to show up and play havoc. Now, having said that, there are individuals who will allow, as I call it, lower entities to come in. Because lower entities, in my opinion, can come in easier than a higher entity. Okay? Any questions on that? You agree?
I agree.
John?
What do you mean lower and higher? What does that mean?
My terminology. Higher energy, someone who's on the other side, who's learned better than what they were when they were on the earth side, whose energy is more vibrant, more energetic, they're happier, those type of energies. Lower energies are just someone you don't know off the street just wants to come in and make the change around.
I thought you meant because one person was dead longer than the other person.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily.
So he learned more, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not what you were saying.
Hopefully when you're on the other side, you are learning more and your spirit energy is a higher vibration.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So, if you have a lower energy on Earth, when you're in spirit, you take that same energy, but you can build upon it and make it a higher energy?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
I hope.
We all hope so. We all make our transition like we were. And on the other side, you can choose to stay that energy or build and learn. Yes, ma'am.
I've had the experience with a lot of people who passed this life and they were like maybe extremely mentally ill or certain things. For me, this is for me, when they pass over, there's been like almost an incubation period where they're surrounded by their guides and getting information. So they didn't go right to, for me. So I think that there's a way for them to kind of like be healed when they pass over.
So second, yes, John.
Like I got a brother, a younger brother who's mentally retarded. Yeah, he's not going to be mentally retarded in heaven. And what's the sense of going to heaven? You know what I'm saying?
We always hope, we're optimistic when we go to the other side. It's better than what we have on this side.
I hope so. What's the sense?
Now, if I was giving you a reading and I described your brother as something other than what you remember him by, you might not recognize him. So he would have to come back in a way that I could describe him to you, even though he has changed on the other side. But I have to show what he was in order for you to recognize him.
Well, he ain't dead.
I'm just saying, anyway.
Although sometimes I want to kill him, but he ain't
What's not on here is billet readings. Anyone ever seen billet readings? Okay. So at the beginning of the seance, someone will pass out a piece of paper. You all seen billet readings? You put on here who you'd like to come through and a couple of questions you want them to answer. Okay? There's someone collecting them. You fold it. I always fold twice just to make sure. If I'm the participant, fold twice. Someone brings a little a basket around and put them in the basket. Then the medium is going to take the blindfold, cover their eyes, tie it behind their head. They're going to be handed the basket. They're going to take one out at a time. Usually put it on their heads just to show you that it's up here. And they're going to read out the names and answer your questions. Blindfold billets. I've seen this done two ways. First time I saw it done, the medium, before she put on the blindfold, she got those cotton pads, like they would put on a cut or something, and she taped them over her eyes. Then she put the blindfold on. So it's like she double blindfolded. Others have said if you just have the blindfold on, you can look down and see things. So she put the double blindfold on so people would doubt that she could not see. And she would start rattling off names. Okay, I have a Bob Smith here. Oh yes, that's my uncle, I would say, and start answering the questions on the billet, blindfold billet. Again, something you don't see a lot anymore. People might not want to take the time to learn, I don't want to say trade, but learn something new. But you, if anything, you have to practice. Practice to make perfect. Do you have any questions? Susan, you're very quiet today. You all right?
I'm all right. Okay.
So blindfold billets, another physical phenomenon. Any questions about anything we talked about? We're almost out of time. Any questions online? No. Okay, John?
What's that last word, billets?
What's that?
That last word you said. Blindfold billets?
Blindfold billet. Like a piece of paper, a billet. I didn't create the word, John.
Never heard it.
Blindfold billets. Yes, ma'am.
What about Ouija boards?
I had to bring up Ouija boards.
True emotion.
Ouija boards, again, this is me talking, easy to manipulate, in my opinion. Table tipping can be manipulated also. But if the person, let's put it this way, my view on Ouija boards would change if the participants were blindfolded and didn't know where the shit didn't know where the shit was going, and it still spilled out what you needed to know, then I would be more of a believer.
But if you're blindfolded, how do you?
You're a third grade.
Yeah, I'm sorry. In my mind, it makes sense in my mind. You have a third person writing stuff down.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Then it'd be a billet, right?
Yeah, it would be a billet. Yes, in the past, during seances, there would be someone there not participating and writing stuff down. Because when you're an active participant, you're an active listener. You're not always listening. So people don't listen, so there's someone writing stuff down for them, like a transcriber. Okay. Any other questions? We're running out of time. All right. Yes, John.
So with the Ouija board, what is it that's supposed to give it the spiritual powers? The little depictions of the ornaments on it or something? Or do people put energy into it? What gives it the power?
Same as tabletop. You're bringing all the energy and focusing it on one area, and that'd be the percent. I'll say it one more time. Placet.
But you're not saying they're wrong, you're just saying they're not as reliable as another way of doing it.
My opinion, yes.
So they're not wrong, they're just not as reliable.
My opinion, yes.
I think with the Ouija board, as with the pendulum, if you test with it, you can do a lot of mind control with it, and you can make it say what you want it to say, and I think that's where the question comes in of whether it's really, that's why I think he says blindfolded would be better, because then you're not doing the mind control thing with it.
Easily manipulated. All right. Thank y'all for joining us today, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Thank you.